Okay, we're up to the new Perek, Lamed Beis, Amid Aleph. For all intents and purposes, we finished Masechta Sotah. All the halachas of Sotah have been contained within the first 32 blot. Now, the Gemara, what's going to do is that we know that there are different halachas regarding places where you have to say something, we have to talk. And the question is, what language has to be used? So as a result, the first one's going to be Sotah, and then you're going to have a slew of others, and the rest of the Masechta is going to go ahead and focus on each one of those. In fact, some of those will have their own perek named after them. So it's a very fascinating geschmacka end of the Masechta. Really, a lot of very famous agarata and different things. So let's enjoy, as always. Let's begin. Says the Mishnah, Elu ne'amorim b'chol lashon. These are considered any language. You're not limited to lashon kodesh. You could say them in any language. Parsha Sotah, the various parshas of Sotah, where the woman has to talk, the man has to talk, and the kohen talks, whatever. The man talks, but the kohen talks in that can be said in any language. Vidu meiser. Vidu meiser is now in a perfect world, one separates their meiser and gives it right away. So you separate meiser rishon, you give it to the Levi. You separate in the first 6th, 4th, and 5th years of the Shemitah cycle, Ma'aser Sheni, and by the regal, you bring it up to Yerushalayim and eat it over there. And in the 3rd year and the 6th year, you bring Ma'aser Ani. Right? So what happens if you were lax and you didn't go ahead and do it right away? So there would be times you would do it. Those in the 3rd year and the 6th year of the Shemitah cycle. After the 3rd year and the 6th year of the Shemitah cycle, you would go ahead and there's a whole parsha you'd say, just to get a taste of it, because Bez Hashem, we're going to be discussing this at length. V'nesato Levi v'kischalo laser kol ma'aser tvuascha b'shana shlishis shnas ma'aser. V'nesato Levi, you should give your ma'aser to the Levi. Lager layosan lamani your ma'aser ani v'yachlu b'sharecha v'saveyu, and you should eat it b'sharecha and be satisfied. V'amatu l'fnei Hashem Elokecha, you should go up to Yerushalayim l'fnei Hashem and you say bi'ati hakodesh min habayis, I've removed all the kodesh, all the ma'aser from my house. Levi, everything you've commanded me to do, I was not over on your mitzvah, I didn't forget. I didn't eat it, that we learn out in Oinin Zasati Meiser. I was not Tame. In other words, basically, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're patting yourself on your back that you did everything correctly. Hashkif among Kochcha, you daven HaKadosh Baruch Hu, look down from your holy abode. In the Shemayim, Uvari says, Amchi Yisrael, V'sadama Shenesat, L'Oka Shenishbat, L'Vasenu, Eretz Zavas Chol V'Devash. So this beautiful parsha, the beautiful lashon, can be said b'chol lashon. It doesn't have to be said b'lashon hakodesh. Kriya Shema, Utfila, Kriya Shema, and Tfila or davening, or Shmon Esrei, or Birchas Hamazon. These all can be said b'chol lashon. Shvua Se'edus. That's if you go to a person and the person knows information about something about you, a transaction usually, and you say, tell me that, and the guy says, I don't know what you're talking about. And you say, swear. He swears falsely, right? Then, and he admits the truth. That's called shvua se'edus, right? Ushvuas hapikadain, where you trust someone to watch something for you. You go and say, where is it? He says, lahadam lehoyi devar me'olam, and he swears to that fact and then admits the truth. These are all b'chol lashon. These are chol b'lashon. Let's see, Tosfos says, Tosfos, Elim Ne'amorim b'lishaynam. Again, he noticed Tosfos, he didn't say b'chol lashon. He says b'lishaynam, in their lashon. Again, it's a lot different. B'chol lashon b'mashma, I could say it in Chinese, even though I don't understand the word in Chinese, right? But he says the Diba Maskell guys is not the same as the lashon of the Mishnah. Upirish kol adam b'lishaynai shu shemeya. No, it's a lashon that he hears, no, that he understands. You have to be that you understand it. It's not. It's not enough to say b'chol lashon. It has to be a lashon that you understand. Person madai who can't say it in. This is interesting. Parsi is probably Farsi. This is what lashon. Farsi is the language of the Iranians. Paras is what is Persia. So I think I don't know why. Just for the first time in my life, realized that Farsi, right? That's where Dr. Press. That's probably where it comes from. The Farsi constellation of Paras. That's where it comes from. Okay. In other words, if you keep the language that we have, the lashon of the Mishnah, It'll be mashma any language, even if you don't understand it. And therefore, Tosfos changed around the girsa to say what? A little nuance, guys. You see the little bit of l'shainam, a very, very nice nuance in the girsa between Tosfos and the girsa that we have. Okay, very nice. Now, these were able to say in old language. Again, the Gemara is going to elaborate upon all of these. The Gemara is going to be sources for all of these. Now, however, these are the following are stated only in Lashon Kodesh. Okay. Mikra Bikurim. That's also Parshas. It's funny because there's also in Parshas Kisavo, just like the Parsha of Vidu Maisvis, we have that a person brings Shavuos time. He starts that time. He brings from the 7 fruits of Eretz Yisrael. He brings the 10 of these fruits. He brings it to the Mizbeach, gives it to the Kohen, and Uvasel Kohen Sheyeh B'Yom Mahim V'Amata Elov. Higarti Hayom Hashem Elkecha Ki Vasi Al Arta Shenish B'Al Selvasenu. The Kohen would take it. V'Anisu V'Amata V'Lein Hashem Elkecha. What would you say? Arami Ravi Ravi. We speak about where we came from. Vayerim Mitzrayma. Vayogo Shem Seimaot. Vayisham L'Goy God Lots Merav. This is all of Haggadah fame. V'Yarei Osana Mitzrim. Vayinunu. Vayidnu Olenu Avoy the Kasha. V'Nisik Al Hashem. Mamish unbelievable. Bikurim is gebunden into the Haggadah. Vayetzinem Vayaris and Yenu Vasamlenu Vasachatzenu. Vayinum Vata Hine Avesi Asveshis Pri Adama Asher Nesati Hashem V'Nachnu V'Nei Hashem L'Kecha. V'Shnachvicha L'Nesi Hashem L'Kecha. The Samach B'Chol Tov said beautiful parsha, beautiful lashon. That's said B'Chol lashon. That's said lashon kodesh. That bikurim has to be said in lashon kodesh. Chalitza, the parsha of Chalitza, where the woman says this person doesn't want to take me, and he says I don't want to take her. Kacha Yasel Ish. We're a little familiar with Yavamis, right? Especially yesterday's parsha Achrei Mos. If Rabbi had a shout out that he understood Aroyas for the first time very much because of the parsha. Because without the Torah Shavah Peh, there's no way you can understand the Torah Shavah Tzad. Anyway, so this parsha of Chalitza is all in Lashon Kodesh. Brachas v'Klalois, the brachas and Klalois. Again, this is one of the more obscure parshas in the Torah. It's also parshas Kisavai. It's where the certain on Har Grizim went up certain 6 Shvatim. Har Evel went up 6 Shvatim. The Levim and the Kahanim and the Aron were in the middle. And this all occurred on the first day when they went into Eretz Yisrael. And they would turn to Har Grizim and they would say a bracha, and they would answer Amen. They would turn to Har Evel and say the inverse of the bracha of the bracha in the form of a klala, and they would say Amen. This is called the Birchas HaTorah. And those brachas and klalas were only recited in Lashon Kodesh, again found in Parshas Kisavo. Amazingly enough, Vidu Meiser, Bikurim, and Brachas Kolos, all in Parshas Kisavo. And this is very important. I was thinking that, why do we care about the Brachas Kolos since they happened already? Guys, like anything that we said so far, right? Parshas Sotah, Vidu Meiser, Kriyashmat, Tefillah, Birchas HaMazon, Shuas Eidah, Shuas HaBikoden, right? Bikurim, Chalitza, these all can occur. So we have to know the halacha, what's going to be. Not that who cares, but why tell us that the brachas of Klolos were recited in Lashon Kodesh? Whatever was, right? And beautifully, guys, we're going to extrapolate a bunch of halachas from there. Just like the brachas of Klolos were recited in Lashon Kodesh, so too, we're going to say we're going to learn Chalitza, we're going to learn other sources from there. So it's important to know that it was Lashon HaKodesh, since we're going to go ahead and learn out from there. It's a very nice answer. Birchas Kahanim, which we're Zoicha, if we have Kahanim in Shul to say, or Birchas Kohen Gadol, there was 8 psukim, 8 brachas the Kohen said on Yom Kippur. Again, we'll explain all of these. Parshas HaMelech, the Hakel on the Shemitah year, that was the year after Shemitah on the Sukkot, that they brought all the people together, and the Melech would read from Mishnah Torah, Parshas Egel Arufa. If you'd find a dead body between 2 cities, you'd measure, and they would bring it down to Nachaleson, a place where they would go ahead and decapitate it. There was a lashon that they said, all lashon kodesh. Meshuch Muchama, Parshas Kiseitze, you'd go to war, and the kohen that was appointed in charge of that would give a speech. Anyone who's Rachlev should go home. Shalei Bana Bayis Chodesh should go home. All that was Lashon Kodesh. The Shoshim Medaber La'am, that's part of it. And Meshuch Muchama, the time to speak to the people. Okay, now Mikra Bikurim Ketzad, going back over, explaining why is Mikra Bikurim said in Lashon Kodesh? Why is Mikra Bikurim said in Lashon Kodesh? Ketzad, it says V'anisa, and you'll answer V'armata l'fnei Hashem Elokecha. So that's what it says what by Bikurim. U'lahalon Oimer, and it says by Hargrizim V'anu Halviim V'amru, and Leviim they would answer and they would say, good, and they would say, and just as there was Lashon Kodesh, it says V'anu, it says V'anisa, the shirish of Ayin Nun Hey creates a relationship between Bikurim and Hagrizim Arevel. So just like Hagrizim Arevel is Lashon Kodesh, so to Bikurim is Lashon Kodesh. Ma'ala halam by Hagrizim Arevel b'Lashon Kodesh, Afkan by Bikurim b'Lashon Kodesh is state b'Lashon Kodesh. Chalitza Ketzad. This is the parsha. How do you know that Chalitza has to be b'Lashon Kodesh? Again, V'ansa, V'amra, V'ansa, and she will answer and she will say, well, halon noime, what does it say by Hagrizim Arevel? V'anu halviim v'amru. Ma'ala halam by Hagrizim Arevel Lashon Kodesh, Afkan b'Lashon Kodesh. So it's fascinating, right? You wonder why you'd have to tell me what transpired by Hagrizim Arevel, what language they use. After all, it's not happening again. And the answer is that's how we know Gufa Bikurim, Lashon Aleph Nun Hey, and Chalitza. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says for Chalitza you do not need the comparison to from Hagrizim Arevel. You have it independent within the parsha itself. You know. The Avansa v'Amra Kacha. So Rabbi Yehuda is learning v'Adsa v'Amra Kacha. You have to say the way it's spelled out in the Torah. You have to say it in Lashon Kodesh. You have to say it in Lashon Kacha. Kacha Yasal Ish. Right? I think the Lashon. Okay, I'm but hey, I don't want to waste time. Where's the source? Yeah. The Niksha Yevimtoi Elov Le'ene as a Canaan V'cholza Na'loi Me'al Ragloi V'yorka B'fanav shall spit in front of him V'ansa V'amra Kacha Yasel Isha Shalo Yivle. So in other words, Kacha Yasel Isha, this Kacha, this is the way you have to say it. You have to say what in Lashon Kodesh. So you don't need the comparison to Hagrizim Arevel. You know what from the parsha itself. Brachas v'kolas Ketzad. So it's really interesting. We already established that you know Chalitza, and according to one Bikurim and Chalitza, according to other opinion, from the Brachas v'kolas. So you took for granted that the Brachas v'kolas or what was said b'Lashon Kodesh. So the Gemara asks now, how do you know? The Mishnah wants to know. Brachas v'kolas Ketzad. Kimun Shav Yisrael say Yarden. We're going to see Bez Hashem guys in Lamed Daled. The unbelievable amount of Nisan that transpired the day Bnei Yisrael crossed into Eretz Yisrael. They did an amazing amount of things. Right? We're going to see that Bez Hashem. The Kiman Shav Yisrael say Yarden Uvo El Hagrizim Val Harevo Shevet Shomron. They showed up in the Hagrizim Harevo that was in the Shomron. Shevet Tzad Shechem, which is next to Shechem. Shevet Eitzel Eloni Moreh. It says in by Lech Lecha when Avram Avinu came into Eretz Yisrael, he said he came to Elon Moreh. Rashi brings Hagrizim Harevo. I think the Maral explains beautifully, guys. The lashon of Allah is curse. Allah is har Eloin. The shirish is Eloin is Aleph Lamed Hey is Allah, and Hagrizim was where the brachas were recited. Of course, the Moreh is the lashon of Torah Hira. So therefore, Elon Moreh. Elon is har Evo, and Moreh is Hagrizim. Shenamar Halo Hema Beva Yarden, and it says the Goymer. It says. Elon Moreh. Well, Halo Noimer Vayavor Avram Baaretz. As I told you, Ad Malcham Sheched Ale No Moreh. Ma Elon Omer Hamor LaHalan Shechem. Af Elon Omer Kan Shechem. Okay. Now what happened? She Shvatim Olo L'Reish Hagrizim. 6 Shvatim ascended to Hagrizim. B'shish Shvatim Olo L'Reish Har Evel, and 6 Shvatim ascended to Har Evel. V'Kahanim Leviim V'Oren Ondim L'Mata V'Emsa Kahanim. Makifin esa aroin v'alavim esakana b'chol Yisrael mikan v'kan shenema b'chol Yisrael zakena v'shoitov oindim mizel izeh la'aroin hachlu pneim kape agrizim the Levium they turned to agrizim v'paslu b'richas baruchas ish ashal yaseh pesel masecha ve'elu both the people on Hagrizim and Harevel oinin amen hachlu pneim kape Harevel and then they would turn to Harevel and they would say the inverse v'paslu b'klala orish ashal yaseh pesel masecha. They go ahead and they went ahead and they finished the brachas v'kolos. Afterwards, they took 12 avonim. They took this. We're going to see they took it from the Yarden. They built a mizbeach. B'sidu b'sid, and they covered it up with lime. The kosu leves kol divrei Torah b'shivim lashon, and they wrote down all the words of the Torah in 70 languages. Not exactly what they wrote down is machloikas. The Goyim said they wrote down the minyan mitzvahs. They wrote down 613 mitzvahs. The Ramban says they wrote down kol Torah kula, and in 70 languages. So I have over here a tremendous nest that when Moshe Rabbeinu, he went ahead and he gave the Torah to Klal Yisrael, the Chedush Yarim says that the Torah was given over in 70 languages. Why was it giving in 70 languages? Because since we're going to go into Golos, right, the Chol Makan Shehem, that Bnei Yisrael, wherever they are, it's possible for them to learn. I heard this from Shem Rabbi Yitzchak Isbi, and therefore it was written in 70 languages that no matter in Golos, wherever we are, we should be able to go ahead and understand the Torah. Now, before you get excited and saying that's the source for Art Scroll is not one of the 70 languages. English is not one of the 70 languages. So, Dr. Press, cool your, it's not one of the 7 languages, but the conceptually would make a lot of sense. That it was understood that, through the Choloshin, it would be very, very interesting. I'm sure Aramaic was one of the Lashonis there, until you'd see exactly how, again, there's a Rashi in the beginning of Kisavo, how many stones they set up. It's a little obscure. They set up in the Yarden, they set up in Mizbeach, and they set it in Gilgal. This one says Pashat, they set it up, they took it apart, and they brought it to Gilgal. This all transpired, fellas, in one day, the day they went ahead and crossed the Yarden. There's a tremendous amount of action.
Yiddish was also not one of the languages.
What?
Yiddish was also not one of the languages.
Yeah, but we don't have any Gemaras written in Yiddish, that I know of. Right? We don't have any Gemaras written in Yiddish. Shenemar ber heitiv. Ber heitiv means that everyone clearly understood. The Naluas Avanim, we took the Avanim on the days, Ubo Volanu Bimkoma, and they went and they were London Bimkoma, who says the top Rashi, the base Milunim Begilgal. The Sham Ekimus Avanim. During the 40 years in the Midbar, obviously the Mishkan was among Klal Yisrael. You had the Machna Saran, the Machna Levia, Machna Shechina proper, Machna Levia, and Machna Yisrael. When they came to Eretz Yisrael, it was 7 years of kibush, 7 years of capturing the land, 7 years of chiluk, 7 years of dividing the land. During those 14 years, the Mishkan was set up in a place called Gilgal. So they went ahead and they took those stones that they took from the Yarden Pashit and set it up in Gilgal. That's what Rashi says, V'lanu bimkomo. Okay, so now the Gemara is going to begin to go through how do you know all these places? How do you know that, for example, that Sotah is said in any language? And we go through the sources. So very interesting. Pasha Sotah minalan. Where do you know that's said in any language? Dichsiv. Now look, this is again a very fine nuance of a change, just like Tosfos changed, Rashi changes over here. The pasuk says, "V'omar hakoyin leisha," and the koyin says to the isha, and smashim b'choloshin shu oimer. If you look at Rashi, Rashi does not say that. Rashi says Hachi Garsinon, second line down. V'omar ela isha. It doesn't say the koyin to the isha. V'omar ela isha. Now ela isha is mashma b'choloshin she shamas. Any language that she can understand. We're not goyis v'omar hakoyin leisha. V'omer hakoyin isha would mean the koyin says to the isha. The finite guy is v'omar el ha'isha. The el means directly that the isha should be able to understand. It's a difference between the koyin saying to leisha, but el ha'isha. Rashi saying el ha'isha's mashma should be able to understand. Again, Rashi changes the girsa. And as it would make sense in the Gemara that the woman that has to understand it, the Tan Rabbanon, back in the Gemara, you let her know in any language. You have to tell her Amahu Shaisa, Ubemahi Shaisa, Alma Nitmas, Ubemahi Nitmas. Going through each one. Almahi Shaisa, why is she drinking? Al Iske Kina Vistira, because of the fact that what? The Kina Vistira that transpired, that you were warned and you didn't listen. Ubemahi Shaisa, and from what she's drinking, Mimakadeya Shel Cheres. Again, we spoke earlier in the Masechta. She did a lowly Maisa, so she's drinking from a lowly Kli. She's drinking from, again, this is water that was Kodesh. It was from the Kiyar. Kedusha, the Kiyar was a Kli Shares. It was Maglishit, yet she was drinking from a cheap earthenware Kli. Almanit Mas, Al Iske Schoik Vialdus. Why? Because the childishness, the way she acted. We spoke earlier in the Masechta. A person only avera if nichtas by ruach shtus, so that's an act of immaturity. Ubemahinit mas, and this is very important. Ubemahinit mas b'shoigeg oy b'mezid oinis oy b'rotzen. Now the kol kach lama. Why do you have to tell her that you know what your tummy shoigeg b'mezid oinis b'rotzen? You know that you would tell her it's only going to work if you did it b'mezid. It's only going to work you did it b'mezid. So lahoitzi laz al mayamorim. You shouldn't go ahead and be moitzi laz on the water. Says Rashi, shloitzi laz, mas ba'oinis, if she was forced, by shagagas, or she thought it was a husband and it wasn't, and he's not checked out as a result. Shloite savura, she shouldn't think ilu den mesi mezida. Had I been Tommy ben mesid, gam kein lohoyabait can I see. In other words, she might think that 1 second it doesn't work. Period. Not realizing that the only when it works is b'mezid. We had this early in the Masechta, fellas. Remember, Ben Azai said you should teach your daughter Torah because she should know that sometimes it's a schus that's Torah, and she shouldn't think that and Davchaf. You shouldn't think that it's a schus that's Torah, and she thinks it doesn't work. So it's very important that we were worried about being moitzi laz on the Mei Hamarim. Vidu Maisa, the pasha of Vidu Maisa can be said b'chol lashon minol and dechsiv. The Amatul Fnei Hashem Elokecha, the Arti HaKodesh Min Abayis, the Yolef Amira Me Sotah. It says V'Amarta. By Sotah it says V'Omar Ela Isha. So once we've established Ela Isha means something that she can understand, and it said the lashon of Aleph Mem Reish, so too the Amira that it says L'Fnei Hashem Elokecha by what? By the Amira that it says by Bir Maestris, Vidu Maestris is also what? Is also a lashon of a Bechal language. Amalei Rav Svid Labaya, Baleilif Amira Milaviyim. Now, why did you learn Amira from Leviyim? Now, what did it say about Leviyim? V'onu haLeviyim v'omru. This is speaking by Har Gris and Varevo. V'onu haLeviyim, the Leviyim they answered v'omru. They would, and there we established that what it has to be B'lashon Kodesh. So why did you opt to go in the direction by Vidim Meisters, in the direction of Sotah, to say B'chol languages? You could have opted to go V'onu V'omru by Hagris and Varevel and said that Vidim Meister also should be said B'lashon Kodesh. Malahala B'lashon Kodesh, just like over there by Hagris Varevel was Lashon Kodesh, Afkan B'lashon Kodesh. Says the Gemara, no. Done an Amira Grey Dasa, Me Amira Grey Dasa. Learn Amira from the word Amira alone. In other words, we always speak about Gzeir Shava. We only want to go the one that is closest possible. The most famous question is that it doesn't have to be equal. It says V'shava koyin u'boya koyin by the house of Mitzayra. But that the halacha when it comes back the second time is the first time, even though it says a different language. So you don't even have to be so exact. So Feg the Marakasha. I have in the middle, you tell me Vidim Maisa, it's B'chaloshin, because it's like Sotah Amira. I could have gone in this direction and said, it says, V'anu V'amu Al-Leviyim by Hagris Marei, but let it be in Lashon Kodesh. It says the Gemara, given our druthers, we're always going to go to the one that's the most exact. It's a very geschmack. By Sotah, it says V'amar. By Vidim Maisa, it says V'amar. V'amarta. Why does it say what by the Leviyim? V'onu v'amru. Oh, you have the extra word v'onu v'amru. That's not exact. I must go exactly. So it's more exact to Sotah Vidu Maisa than it is to the brachas klolos ahar gris and varevel. Very geschmack. Tanya, Reb Shimon bar Yochai Omer, Adam Omer Shvachai B'Kol Namach. A person, when he says his praises, he says it quietly. Rashi, Shvachai, what does it say by Bir Maisris, Vida Maisris? It wasn't over on your mitzvahs. He's going ahead what? And he is saying it himself. He's saying it about himself. He's praising himself for doing everything correctly. Now, how do you know it's in a low voice? The next Rashi, the Kol Namach, Midloikasiv Bei Aniya. When it doesn't say Aniya, Aniya is mashma, he answers and he says, it's mashma like magnified. Aniya, Amru. Just as Mama, you say it a lot. The Ginusoi, however, when you say Genai, then you say B'Kol Ram. When you say Genai, you say B'Kol Ram. Okay, Rashi, the Ginusoi, Kigoin, Aramid Avid Avi, Hain the Ginusoi, Shemizvadim Shavian, Lavan Arami, Hayarasha. That you say that Lavan was a Russia. We say it in the Parsha of Bikurim. We say that Aramid Avid. We say in the Parsha of Bikurim, Aramid Avid Avi. Yeah. So since we go ahead and right, that should be said what in a loud voice. That should be said in a loud voice, right? Now, why would that be said? Russia. Okay. So now, Fred says the Gemara, where do you know this from? Shvachai b'kol namech menavidi meiser kinusa b'kol ram mikra bikurim. By bikurim, okay. So that's what we say. So in other words, by Bikurim, it's at a loud voice, right? And by Vir Maisis, it's in a low voice. It says the Gemara, Bikinusa B'Kol. When you go ahead and speak out your detriment, you announce it loudly. They matiknu the fila balachash. Why were they mitaken to go ahead and daven it quietly? So kadesh lo yilavayish es oivdei aveira. And not to go ahead and embarrass a person who did an Aveira. You'll be davening out loud and you'll be screaming out your Aveiras. Not supposed to do that. This is very nice law. Marmokum is the Maritz Chias here, fellas. Maritz Chias says, where do we know that you daven in a low voice? We know from Chana. Chana, in the Tfilas Chana, that we say from Shmuel Aleph, that we say on the Haftarah and Rosh Hashanah, that she was davening Balachash, and Eli thought she was drunk because she was davening quietly. So what do you mean tikna? Who was matakin that? So you see that an act of, not like a bezdin was matakin. It was, you see that what a navi does and a via does is considered tikkun. Now, when a person does an aveira, we don't want to go ahead and embarrass them. So therefore, we know if people would see a korban chatas is being bought, it would be embarrassing. So what do? We shechted the chatas in the same place as you shechted the oila. Why did you do that? To cover up that the person is bringing what's called a sin offering, right? By shechting the chatas in the same place as the oila, people will think it's an oila. They won't realize it's a chatas. And therefore, you're covering it up. So in other words, what do we see? Cover up an aveira. So what do you mean? You did an aveira, the whole realm, you're announcing it? And for the Gemara, loy teme genusai, do not say your genai you announce in a loud voice, ela emat sa'oroi. Say his tsar. Rashi, tsaroi, tsarish avru alav, tsaris that transpired. The hainu, tsarish aval Yisrael, tsaris lavan arami, tsaris mitzrayim. That you go ahead, you call out in a loud voice. When you have tsar, you have tsaris, you call out in a loud voice. A chait, you keep quiet. A chait, you keep quiet. No one has to know about your chait. Tsaris, that you could announce. Kidatanya. V'tamei tamei yikra. But we just did the Mitzayra guys with the Parshas Nazir. We did it well. He's outside the three machnis and he's calling out, Tamei Tamei Yikra. Tzarech ladiyat sa'aroi l'rabim. V'rabim mavashim l'rachamim. V'chol mi she'ira by davar. And anyone that something bad happens to him, I'll tell you what this means in a second. Tzarech ladiyat l'rabim. He has to go ahead what? And inform the rabbim. Right? V'rabim mavashim l'rachamim. And then rabbim mavakish rachamim. One of the sensitivities of the Torah is of that Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh B'Zeh. We're one people, we're one nation. It's a very, very fantastic thing, how B'nai Yisrael rally around people. And there's certain halachas in the Torah, one of them being the Mitzayra, and the other one is Kol Mashir Dava. They should go ahead and be nice with Chevra. So I have over here, I have over here a Gemara. You'll see the next note also. Okay, let me share this with you. I didn't send it out. Here's the Gemara in Masechta Shabbos. Here's the Gemara in Masechta Shabbos. I didn't send it out to you. You're not going to have it. Yoitzin b'beitza sachardo. A person's able to walk out with a beitza sachardo with a certain egg. This is speaking about Hilchas Shabbos. Ub'shein shuol, and a fox tooth. B'mismush min atzlov, and a nail from a gallows. Mishum refuah. Divrei Reb Meir. Even during the week to wear these things, Mishum Darkei Amori. Darkei Amori. Yoitzu beitzas achargo, the avdei l'shichla, ub'shein shel shuel, the avdei l'shinasa. It's good for what? For sleep. It's good for sleep. You know the story. My son Moish found a dead fox on the Palisades, threw in the back of his truck, cut off the tooth, and sent it to me. So I sleep with a tooth underneath my head. Truth be told, the Ambien and Xanax works a lot better. But anyway, l'chayra, there's the reason for it. Anyway, the bottom line is, guys, let's go down a little bit. It says the Gemara fine. Tanya, Elon shemesha peirosav, an Elon that its peiros are falling off the tree. In other words, the tree is not carrying them. Soikrin b'sikra, you go ahead and put red paint on the tree. And you'd put stones on the branches. Now, bishlema ta'anoi ba'avonim, very good putting stones on the branches, in order to weaken its strength. In other words, the sap seems to be coming out too powerfully, and therefore it's causing the fruit to prematurely ripen, I guess, and fall off. So to go ahead and make it more normal, you would put stones on the branches, and that would go ahead and somehow mitigate the strength of the sap. What kind of food is to go ahead and put red paint around the tree? And for Toisis, that people should see this red tree and realize that this guy is suffering financial loss, and they would daven for him. Kidetanya, Tamei, Tamei Yikra. As we say, Tamei, Tamei Yikra. So it's a fantastic thing that you see that the sensitivity of Klal Yisrael, even financial matters, not only the spiritual, physical problem of the Mitzayra being Chutz L'Machne, but even the person undergoing a financial loss, the tree, you put red sap on it, red paint, in order that people should see it, and therefore why he should daven. Now, you could see this one that's on the screen now? Can't see this one? Okay. So let me...
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet? How about now? Yeah? Now you can see?
Yes, good.
Okay, guys, this is a Mishnah. This is more on the second note. This is a Mishnah in the second parak of Masechtas Midas. This is a Mishnah in the second parak of Masechtas Midas. Listen to this. Kol nichnasim harabayis. Anyone who would enter the harabayis, nichnasim derech yamin, would come in on the right. Umakifin, and they would go ahead and go around. V'yotze derech small. In other words, you go counterclockwise. Chutz mimi she'ir davar. Something iridavar means he is a oval, guys. He's an oval. Shehu makif l'smol. He would go ahead and go to the left. And they would ask him, Malach makif l'smol, why are you going to the left? And he would answer, Shani oval. And they would say, Hashoichin b'bayis hazeh yinachamecha. Someone who's shoichin is over here bayis hazeh yinachamecha. I'd like to suggest, perhaps, fellas, this is the source for saying Hamakoim Yanachlim Eschen V'Soch Shloim V'Shloim. Hashoichin b'bayis hazeh, the one who's shoiching in this spot, in this place, right? The makoim, he should go ahead, what? And he should go ahead and be menachem you. That's perhaps Pshat why we use the name Hamakoim based upon this Mishnah. And that's Pshat over here in this Gemara, guys, over here. Look, what does the Gemara say? Tamei Tamei Yikra, speaking of Mitzayra. And then it says, The chol mi she'ira by davar. Anyone that a matter happens to them, that means he's an avel. That's the lashon of the Mishnah there. Anyone that an avelus happens to him, tzarich la'dir l'rabim. How are you modir l'rabim? By going to the left. You modir the rabbim by going to the left, and people say, 1 second, what's going on over here? And then they ask him, and then they give him a bracha, misha shoichin shmoi b'bayis hazeh, the person whose name rests upon this place, and that therefore maybe b'bayis hazeh b'makam hazeh can sign that that's the place for makam.
That's probably also why there are some shuls on when you come in for the Chadodi, when an oval comes in on Shabbos, they do the same thing. They have them march in, and everybody says Hamokim Menachem from this Mishnah.
Very nice, Rabbi. Very nice. It's very nice. I think it comes together beautifully. The sensitivity of Klal Yisrael and how we're supposed to go ahead and be noisy by El Chaveroi. Now we're going to go over the previous brisa. What did the brisa say? You went ahead, fellas, and you would shech the chatas in the place of the oila in order to go ahead and hide the fact that a person is what? You shouldn't embarrass him. Look, I was a chayta. You know, if he's bringing a chatas, you know what that means? That means b'meisli b'schayev kares. If he's bringing a chatas, it means b'meisli b'schayev kares, and he did it b'shogeg. It's a very embarrassing thing. Here's the problem. One, a korban chatas is a female. An oil is a male. So why would it help you to the place you're shechting it by the gender of the animal? You'd be able to go ahead and see the guy's l'chayta. Secondly, the dam, the way the dam is put on the mizbeach is different. The chatas is put on, it's daubed on 4 corners above the chut hasikra. In the middle of the mizbeach, there was a red thread. The chatas was performed above that. The oil was performed below that. So the Gemara has a problem. You want to cover up the fact that the guy did an Aveira, the Makam Shchita is not going to go ahead and do the job because there are other means of ascertaining exactly what the problem was. That's what the Gemara is going to challenge now. Gufa, we mentioned previously. Why did they say you should have him quietly? You shouldn't go ahead and be Mavayrish, right? A person who is what? Is over Aveira. It should be biased a person that what is over Aveira. Shahari lo chilik hakosef mokim ben chatas la'oila, because the Torah did not make a distinction between the place of the chatas and the oila. It says more v'loy v'ikadomim dam chatas lamayla above the chut hasikra v'dam oila lamata below. So a person will be able to tell by that. It says more hasam kayinu diyada. There's no one present in the Mizbeach. There's not only the Kohen's there. There's the Baal who brought it in did vidoy on it. He might be present there, but it's not a gathering place. It's not as though you weren't able to walk into the Azara. So the Kohen would know. The Kohen has to know. The Kohen has to know the reason it's being bought. He has to have the right kavanah, right? So that's not what we're speaking about. The Kohen is sworn to discretion. So you're not worried about what? Him going ahead and informing. I have the chatas in the keva. You have the chatas that's in the keva and oil zacha. So look at the gender of the animal. It says the Gemara chasim mechasim ba'alya. They'll go ahead. They'll bring a sheep, and the sheep's tail covers up the erva of the animal. So you will know the difference. But the Gemara tenech kifsa. That's very good if you bring a sheep. Seira ma'ik l'meima. Why don't you bring a goat? A seira, you bring a female goat, which you could bring. You can't tell the difference. The tail is not going to do the job. Says it's his problem. In other words, if you want to announce that you did an Aveira, go ahead and announce it. But giving your druthers, being a sheep and a goat, here's the source to always being a sheep. Says the Gemara, you have to bring a sira, you have no choice. Says the Mahasam Nichsav Ba'azal Kihechin Nechapalei. Guess what? You were over B'shoigeg Avodah Zara. You deserve to be embarrassed. Go ahead and be embarrassed with the Sira. I wish everyone a great day.